Well, I'm joined now to discuss this all by Sam Browse, Political Officer for the Transport and Travel Union, the TSSA, which is calling for the plant to be brought into public ownership as soon as possible. I'll come to that in a minute, Sam, but first of all, I mean, probably a collective sigh of relief that the government stepped in, not least, of course, for everyone working at the Scunthorpe plant and involved in British Steel, but also the knock-on effect it could have had on the travel industry, notably the railways.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for so much for inviting me on to talk about this. Britain's steel industry has an absolutely pivotal role to play in Britain's railways, especially in upgrading our railway infrastructure and dragging it into the 21st century. 80% of Britain's train rails are produced in Scunthorpe. And that's why Network Rail has been stockpiling train rails ever since the government entered into negotiations with Jinge over the future of the works. So we've seen that preparation for the worst now, and that's why it's absolutely fantastic news that the blast furnaces have got the materials they need to keep running. Now we need the government to step up and ensure the future of steel in Britain by taking British steel into public ownership. And that will stabilise the situation. It will guarantee that we have the supply chain necessary for years to come, and help us meet ultimately, and this is why we're interested, the challenge of upgrading our railways.
So how do you feel about this debate about, private and overseas companies being involved?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, public ownership's the answer because we've been here before, effectively. You know, British Steel was previously owned by Tata. Jinge bought it up in 2020 and bought it out of insolvency. We've seen successive private companies have proved that they've been incapable of maintaining this crucial part, effectively, of British infrastructure. Actually, in fact, part of the reason we're in the situation we're in is that we haven't seen the necessary upgrades to the furnaces, and that's because they cost money and they put a dent in private profit. So rather than
But then can the public sector really do that? That's a lot of money for the taxpayer to pay, isn't it?
I mean, the question I throw back is like, can we afford not to? This is crucial infrastructure. Like I say, it's at the heart of any industrial strategy. Are we really willing to say that you know we can run an economy and we can bring our infrastructure into the 21st century, without being able to supply ourselves with steel? Because I think that's the more pressing and more immediate and urgent strategic concern for the country.
OK, we're going to leave it there. Sam Browse, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much.
A Sky News investigations tracked down a witness